video, I want to show you my top 5 inner thigh stretches. Sometimes I just really love those, especially if you're a runner. I think they're fantastic. And yeah, let's get going. We want to do a sun salutation first, or 2 sun salutations each side. And obviously the more sun salutations you do, the warmer you're going to be. And it's always recommended that I would recommend that you don't start any pose just getting off the chair, not having moved for an hour or anything. So if you come home after a run, or you've done a Pilates class or whatever, or yoga class, then that's great, but don't just jump into it without having moved before, just to protect your muscles and make it more comfortable for yourself. Okay, let's get going for sun salutation. Let me see. For a sun salutation, we're going to stand at the front of our mat, feet either together or hip width apart, whatever's more comfortable for you. Lifting our toes off the ground wherever we are, spreading them wide, lowering them one at a time. And then maybe, if you want, lifting your heels and placing them down, engaging our core, our lower abs, perineum, the pelvic floor. Nice firm middle. Shoulders roll up, back and down, opening our chest, palms facing up. Someone's pulling us by a string at the top of our head. We're standing really tall and we're tucking our chin ever so slightly. Lovely. Okay, inhale, arms up. Exhale, engaging the core, we're folding down, fall forward, fold. Bending the knees here if you want. We could bring our hands to your shins. We're going to now inhale, half forward fold, hands to shins. Again, if you're here, or fingertips to mat, depending on how warm you are. Exhale, hands down, stepping back with the right, followed by the left, into plank. Engaging the core in plank. Inhale and exhale, lowering knees, chest and chin down to the ground. Inhale, sliding forward into Cobra, untucking the toes, elbows are in the body, we're looking forward, shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, we're tucking the toes and we're coming into a down dog, maybe stepping forward a little bit. In down dog, our middle fingers are pointing forward, hands are shoulder width apart, the whole hand is pushing into the mat, arms are straight, shoulders away from the ears, flat back, maybe bending the knees a little bit if you have to, feet are pointing forward, hip width apart, and aiming to pull our heels down to the ground just to activate those calves. They don't have to touch the ground, mine don't. I'm breathing here for another 2. Okay, and the next inhale, stepping forward with the right foot, followed by the left foot on the exhale. Inhale, half forward fold, hands to shins or fingertips to mat. Exhale, forward fold, folding down, bending knees if you want to. And inhale, engaging the core, we're coming up with a flat back. Exhale, hands into heart center. The next sun salutation on the other side, I'll also show you an option for a more vigorous version. Doesn't mean it's better or worse, just if you want to be a bit more, want to make it a bit stronger maybe. Okay, let's do this. Arms up on the inhale. Exhale, engaging the core, we're folding down. Hands either side of the feet. Inhale, half forward fold, hands to shins or fingertips to mat. Now either hands down and step back with the left and then the right. And if you're doing that, coming down knees, chest, chin, and sliding forward into a cobra. If you want to try a bit more vigorous, coming down here, we're going to bend our knees, jumping back into a plank. Inhaling here, then exhale, we're rocking forward onto our toes, coming down to chaturanga. Inhale, and coming into upward facing dog. Only your backs of your feet and your hands are touching the ground. And exhale, we're rolling over and coming into a down dog. Everyone meeting in down dog, staying here for a few breaths. Okay, either if you want, you can now inhale, step forward with the left, and then exhale, follow with the right, or if you want to try and jump, bending your knees, looking in between your thumbs. Inhale and exhale, jumping forward. Inhale, Half forward fold, hands to shins, or fingertips to mat. Exhale, full forward fold. Inhale, engaging the core, and we're coming up. Exhale, hands into heart center. Lovely. Warming up a little bit, but as I said, do more of these if you want to try the poses if you have the time. We're going to start by stepping out, quite a nice wide step out here, and your feet are pointing forward, and if, rather than being pointing to the ends of your mat, you want your feet to point in a little bit, a tiny bit pigeon-toed. And we're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold. So we're going to inhale, placing our hands on our hips. Inhale here. Exhale, let's fold down, nice flat back. Bring your hands on the floor. If you find difficult, you can come onto your fingertips. You can also place your hands on your shins if you find that more comfortable. Or stay here with your hands on your hips. If you can bring your hands to the floor, come here. Inhale to your fingertips, looking forward. And exhale, we're folding down. And pulling here, pushing the mat forward with your hands to fold more. What you want to do here is you want to engage your inner thighs and also the muscles around your knees. Staying here for 2 more breaths. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, hands to hips. We're flat back. With the next inhale, we're gently coming up. Lovely, that was the first one, so we're going to turn 1 foot forward, stepping forward again. So first one of our inner thigh stretches. The next one is going to be pyramid pose. So with that, we're stepping back, not nearly as far, about halfway down the mat. We're walking, so I've stepped back with my left foot, walking our right foot a little bit over, so we're not on a tightrope, our feet are a little bit like on train tracks. Place our hands on our hips to pull that back hip forward a little bit. You can see the back foot is quite at an angle, pointing to the top corner of your mat. So we're pushing that left hip forward, pulling the right hip back, so that our chest is facing, chest and hips, shoulders and hips are stacked and are facing the front of our mat. Inhaling here, and exhale, we're folding down. You can either bring your hands either side of your front foot, or you can maybe bring your hands on your shin or on your thigh, depending wherever you are. Stay here, and you're going to feel that stretch. It's also very big, very good hamstring stretch, but also quite a bit on the inner thigh. Inhale, exhale. Maybe with the exhale, folding a bit deeper. If you're on your fingertips, maybe you can come onto the palms of your hands. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, last breath. Exhale. The next inhale, going to come up gently. Lovely. I'm going to do the other side. So for that, if you want, you could just turn around if you can still see the screen that way. So now our right foot is back, so pointing very much towards the top corner of our mat. Left foot is pointing forward, or the front foot is pointing forward. And again, we're going to pull that left hip, the hip of the front foot back, the right hip, the hip of the back foot forward, so that we're nice and square here. Then inhale here, nice and open chest, and exhale, we're folding down with control. Lovely. You can again either come onto your fingertips, come onto your shin, come onto your thigh. Definitely don't put your hand on your knee though, we don't want to push pressure on our joint. And inhale, exhale, maybe on the exhale folding a bit deeper. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, last breath, and on the inhale, we're going to gently come up. Lovely, wonderful. The next pose that we're going to do is our third pose out of our top 5 is frog pose. So for that, let's come down onto our knees gently. I'm going to sit quite with wide legs. You want to see if you can bring your knees as far apart as you possibly can. Your feet are pointing back and they're not flexed, like the feet are just on the ground, quite relaxed. I don't know if you can see that foot there. And I quite like to keep my shins behind my knee, so in line with that, so that my foot is behind my knee, rather than moving it out like that. I guess that's getting us closer to a split maybe. We can either sit here with our hands on the floor, depending on where you are. Maybe this is your frog pose, and that is totally fine. You don't need to be super wide, and I'm sure there's some of you out there who are not going to have a gap at all and you're going to be almost in the splits, but this is my frog pose and you'll have yours. You can either stay here with your hands on the ground. You could also try to come onto your forearms if that is comfortable. And what you can also do is, wherever you are, experiment a bit. Rock forward and backward. Generally, for me, the more I push my bottom back, the more I feel the stretch in my thighs. So you can either stay and make it a, I don't want to say a passive stretch, but just a steady stretch, or you could just rock back and forward to make it a bit more dynamic. Yeah, it's just wherever you are, whatever feels good. We can stay here for another 2 breaths. And then if you came onto your forearms and back onto your hands, and gently bring your knees back together. Let's sit down on our bums and give ourselves a nice hug here, releasing that stretch. Inhale, we're looking up, and exhale, we're moving into the next pose, the 4th pose now. So that is Cobbler pose, an absolute favorite of mine. Very similar to what we just did in frog pose. Obviously we're working on our inner thighs, so doing a similar thing. And in Cobbler pose, you can bring your feet as far away from your groin or as close to it as you can do. Just depends on what feels good to you today and what feels good to your body. Just sit here, placing your hands around your feet, so your fingers are on the outside of the feet, the thumbs are on the balls of your feet. I'm going to try and open our feet, the soles of our feet, like the pages of a book. By doing that, if you see me, if I press the soles of my feet against each other, my knees are coming a lot higher. By opening the soles of my feet, I'm opening my hips more and bring my knees closer to the ground, so that is helping us open our hips. So let's also hip opener here. You can either sit here, sitting nice and tall, pulling on your feet a little bit, or if you wanted, you could pull on your feet and come down into a fold here. And if you're folding here, you're folding from your hip, you're not rounding your back. And so you want to come only as far as you can while still having a flat back, and you just look somewhere in front of you, maybe about, I don't know, a foot, half a meter in front of you. And here again, if your elbows touch your inner thighs, you could push your elbows into your inner thighs, so that will help you open your legs here as well. One more breath here, wherever you are. And inhale, we're gently coming up. Gently bring your hands on our knees, gently moving them together, and again hugging us here, releasing that stretch. And just looking up. For our last pose, we're going to lie on our backs. And we're going to bring our knees into our bodies, feet up into the air. We're going to come into a happy baby pose. So that also really attacks our hips, but I find that also works our inner thighs. And for a happy baby, your knees are bent, your legs are quite wide, and you could hold behind your thighs like this, Your feet are also flexed here. Hold behind your thighs, hold your calves, or hold your feet. And if you're holding your feet, your arms are going along the inside of your knee, and the hand goes on the outside of the foot and pulling down here. If you wanted, you could try stretching your legs, just playing with it a bit. Staying here for another 2 breaths. And then releasing wherever you were holding, bring that down. And if you want to come up to seated again, let's bring one hand around the back of the thigh and rock up like this, coming up nice and safe. So happy baby was more of a release for inner thighs, working our hips at the same time, rather than full on hip stretch, inner thigh stretch like the frog pose. I hope you enjoyed this, I hope you had fun, and I see you soon.